Wow, 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 wow. Wow, it has been an amazing couple of days. 2 days ago, Tuesday, April 11th, 2023, for those of you who are going to hear this later, I launched my second book, The Recovering People Pleaser, something. Before I even woke up in the morning, my publisher had messaged me and she said that I was a bestseller already in 2 countries. And then as the day went on, I turned into an international #1 bestseller. I will tell you that this journey has been involved with this, and I'm not even going to try, but it's been so incredible. And the conversation that I'm sharing with you guys today has been part of this journey. My friend Roman Wyden, who I have had on my podcast before and have posted a conversation with us here before. Roman and he tells the story about how he procured my book, and he thought he was just going to, support another author friend and, buy their book. But he said when he started reading it that he absolutely could not put it down. He said by page 1 he was sucked in, which was surprising to him. He reached out to me straight away, yesterday, I think it was. He said, Kristen, well, actually he calls me sister. He's like, sister. And he shared all of his feelings about the book, and he said, would you be willing to get on a talk together? And I said, sure. So we scheduled a talk for today on Wisdom, the social audio app. And that is what I'm sharing with you guys today. But what I would also like to express is that I want to point out that this is a man. This is a male person who has read this book. And I have had several male people reach out to me. Because people pleasing is not gender specific. It is a plague on this planet. It is something that millions of us deal with all the time. But to hear the perspective from Roman and the things that he spoke about what this book generally did to him, or how he viewed the whole entire book, was exactly what I had hoped that people would experience when reading my book. I decided to share this interview with you all in hopes that you'll get a glimpse into what this book is all about. And maybe if you're interested, you will pop over to Amazon. All you have to do is type in The Recovering People Pleaser into the search bar, and you will find it. And you can buy it either in Kindle for $1.99, or you can buy it in softback cover for $17.99. And I truly hope if you guys enjoyed the read, that you reach out to me and you let me know. And I would super love if you jumped on Amazon and left a 5-star rating and review, so this book could get more recognition and fall even more into the hands of people who will benefit from it. So thank you everybody for being here, and I hope you enjoy this conversation.
Wisdom verse today. We're going to have a very important conversation around the new book just released, The Recovering People Pleaser by Kristen Brown, my dear friend. And I'm going to bring her in a minute here. There is Chris. Yay. Coming in, I'm going to fly this one in VIP today, landing in 3 seconds. 2, 1. Kristen
Hey,
Brown,
Roman.
congratulations. Hey, how are you?
Thank you. I'm doing good. I feel more rested today. That was a little bit of a wild ride, and I feel very rested. Today.
Well, good. I just want to start off by saying congratulations on launching your book that is now available since the 11th, I believe, correct?
Yes,
on Amazon?
Everywhere. It's actually everywhere. It's actually sold on 40,000 book sites, but what we're looking for is people to purchase it on Amazon, because that's where the rankings happen.
Right. And you mentioned something about Kindle being the way to go for registering, right, as sales.
11 Pacific time on Tuesday. I don't think it really matters now. Yeah.
Okay.
But it does rank it does rank in Kindle and in paperback. And at one point, it was fascinating. My publisher sent me a screenshot. I was in competition with my own book in one of the categories. The Kindle version was #1, Then there was another book, and then right, isn't that fun? This is crazy.
It's super cool. Yeah, no, I love it. I just, yeah, congratulations. I just want everybody listening to know that what I went through. I'm going to tell you my thought process, right? Because I've had lots of friends release books, and I would go there and support them, and I would sometimes get a copy, sometimes it download it, and I would start reading, and it'd be like, yeah, it's nice, it's my friend, it's cool, and yay. And so then, same attitude, I went to download the Kindle version because I wanted it right away, and um, I downloaded it, and then I started reading it, and then, damn girl, I downloaded it, and then I started reading it, and then, damn girl, you got me hooked. Page one. I was not expecting it. I know you're a smart person. You are powerful, insightful. And I thought, okay, you're writing a book. I'm curious. Let's see. We've had conversations together, but a book is a whole other thing. Conversations together, but a book is a whole other thing. And I will tell you, I have not put it down. Like any moment I've had, like I think I'm a third way through. What is that, like 80 pages or something? And any moment I get where I'm like, ooh, I can read another few pages, right? And I have a Kindle. Oh, I got the app. So that all worked out. So I thought we'd have a conversation around it because the reality is people listening might be like, people pleaser, it's familiar. Am I one, or I'm with one, or I know one? And you are a recovering people pleaser.
Yep.
I now know that I am. What I'm going to do is, I hope this works. I've never done this. So I'd like to have my book open, and I can refer to my highlighted notes.
Sure. Yeah,
Let
that's
me
awesome.
just, where does it talk about? Okay, I'm on page 76. So now I know.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm just going to go back to the beginning and if that's okay, if we can go through a few of the things that,
Yeah. In fact, I'll go get mine too so I can be on the same page with you.
yay.
Walking up
Okay.
my
Well, I'm
stairs, you can
excited.
hear it.
All good. So first of all, like I said, congratulations on launching the book. That's a
Thank
huge
you.
First of all, like I said, congratulations on launching the book. That's a
Thank
huge
you.
undertaking to write a book while being in life and having a partner and
Oh,
having
yeah.
kids and having things to deal with, right?
Yes, lots of things.
Lots of things. Do you want to, anybody in particular, some people you want to say thank you to or acknowledge? Do you want to, anybody in particular, some people you want to say thank you to or acknowledge that got you through this hot mess?
Well, I I got on the other day, Roman, because and I had no words. Like I literally, if you listen to that talk, I'm like, but the the whole time so overwhelmed with the amount of love and support that came at me from the launch of this book that I literally did not know what to do with it. I was in this place of awe and this place of ultimate humility. Like when you're just on your belly, not even on your knees, you're on your belly, just like dead, laying all the support. So I really want to thank just everybody, my friends, my family, my publisher, everybody that had my back through
Mm,
this, God, especially, because I felt like I just went with the flow. That's what I did. And man,
yeah.
when you let go and you just speak from your heart, it matters.
Nice, nice, nice. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I can tell, like I was pulled in because there's just reading it, there's just no fat. Like every
Yeah.
sentence to me just lands and sort of cuts to the fabric of my soul, and I go yes or no, or that I can relate or not, or it resonates of my soul, and I go yes or no, or that I can relate or not, or it resonates or not. But most of it
Yeah.
resonated. That's why I
Yeah.
was like, whoa. So I just want to start off by one. Um, this is on page. I don't know if Kindle has different pages, but it
Oh, it
says,
might. Yeah, that's true. But we'll
yeah,
try.
it says page 20.
Oh,
It
it
says,
might. Yeah, that's true. But we'll
yeah,
try.
it says page 20. I highlighted my relationships mirrored how I treated myself.
Yeah.
And I was like, that alone, I had to like take a moment and go shake it off and be like, holy, wait, what? What is she talking about, right? Wait, what? What is she talking about, right?
Yeah.
So why don't we, I know there's so many ways we could enter this, but let's maybe start first and we'll come back to the statement. But what is a people pleaser? If somebody says, I've heard it, what do you mean? Like, I mean, it's in the words, but like, really,
Right.
what do you mean? Like, I mean, it's in the words, but like, really, there's
Right.
more to it, right?
Sure. Well, the easy version is someone who is seeking in the outside world for love, approval, and acceptance to validate themselves that they're okay and that they matter. And they
Mm,
do this through many ways. As we know, like you said, there's so many nuances to this, but it's mostly through doing things to try to get that love, approval, and acceptance. And that can manifest in a lot of different ways. People
mm.
pleasers tend to over accommodate. They they sacrifice their sacred self, basically.
Yeah. And I was just going to say, this is mind blowing because the book came at such the right time for me because what I'm going through with my own addiction and recovery, and it's all leading back to, right, the internal hole that we're trying to fill with external sources. And I saw that, and today again in therapy, my therapist pointed it out where I'm being kind of like vague or ambiguous and in an area where I'm leading people on because I'm afraid if I tell them the truth that they, and I was just like, holy shit, 53
Yes.
years, all these books and courses and therapy, and I still am fucking doing it,
Yeah.
you know? So
Yep.
your book
I
came at the
understand
right
that
time because I
completely.
was reading that. Yeah, yeah.
It's
So
that fear. It's just all fear driven, right? It's all
it
fear
is.
driven, and people pleasing is this. It's a form of control. We look at narcissism so form of control. We look at narcissism so much. Everyone's narcissist, controlling this and that, but we are controlling in a covert way. We're
Yeah.
trying to control the way people are seeing us. Or the
Mm.
environment, lots of things, or the environment, not letting getting someone mad at us, not having, not letting getting someone mad at us, not having to deal with confrontation, not wanting to look at our own self.
Hmm.
Yeah, those are all
Totally,
points
totally.
of control. Hmm.
Yeah, and so going back to the statement that I read, it was kind of confronting because I looked at my last relationship. I don't know if you and I had talked about this or haven't talked about it yet, but my last relationship is over
The
and
one that just
completed.
happened.
It was a 9 month. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
It was a 9 month with all that stuff. But really, when I looked at that relationship and then I read your statement of like, wait, so that mirrored how I treated myself. I was like, I treated myself like shit. And this is not, again, this is
I
not
get
to
it.
blame, it's not to blame her. It's
Yes.
to not blame, but to take responsibility myself of how much I allowed to happen such that I would ignore my intuition, not listen to my intuition and ignore the
Yes.
red flags. And not red flags like she's a horrible person, red flags like this isn't really going to be a match in the long term. Horrible person, red flags like this isn't really going to be a match in the long term, you know?
Yes.
And so I was just like, oh my God, that's how I treated myself. It's pretty shitty,
Right. Well, and
you
did
know?
you read that part where I was like, I had to look at the fact that I was the common denominator in all my
Yep,
past
yep.
relationships. And I was like, how did they treat me? And I made a list of how they treated me. And then I put those towards myself. And I was like, I've done this to me.
Mm,
They were just showing me what I was doing to me.
mm, yeah. Oh my God.
It is. I just got to say this though, Roman. You said something that actually teared up my eyes, made me so happy because you said, I cut through the fat. There's no fat in this book. And that
Yeah,
every sentence, for the most part, because everybody's a little bit different on their journey, like everybody's at, and you
yeah.
take the best, leave the rest. But for the most part, when you said that every sentence, has an impact, that's what I wanted. I was like, I don't want this to be a bunch of fluffy BS. I want it to be just straight truth, easy read, 207 pages. Let's just cut to the chase here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's how it felt, right?
Hmm.
That's because often certain things you have to re-explain. and kind of give another
Yeah.
example, which I thought was brilliant, because sometimes it doesn't, you read something and you're like, oh, I think I get it. But when you hear it, it doesn't, you read something and you're like, oh, I think I get it. But when you hear it in another way or two other ways,
Mm-hmm.
um, then you're like, oh, okay, now I really get it. So that's to me, that's not fat. That's just not,
Yeah,
um,
exactly. Yes.
but so, so then, so then what
Oh, you're
of,
cutting out, Roman.
oh,
Are you there? Oh, yeah, you're back. You're back.
oh, did it show that I was not there,
No, you
or
just
just the
got
audio?
quiet for a second, like yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, the
Got
audio.
quiet for a second, like yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. I hope it's not because I'm on Kindle and while I'm on Wisdom. It shouldn't be a problem, right?
Are you on it on your phone?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Let me know if it happens again. I
Well,
can get off of it, but there's
okay.
enough for us to talk about. But if it happens again, I
Well,
can get off of it, but there's
okay.
enough for us to talk about. But I loved what you talked about a little bit later, at least Kindle page 21, is you had this hashtag time frame undetermined, right?
Yeah,
And I
I'm
could,
so glad you got that because I was like,
oh
is
yeah.
anybody going to get that?
Oh, I totally got that. Oh, I totally got that
Thank you.
because what I'm going through right now is with this partner is this no contact time.
Mm,
Like we agreed on 90 days no contact, and I needed that just to do my healing, just to be but it's getting at stake for me to be healthy, to be in a relationship, and I
mm-hmm.
need to take hashtag time frame undetermined. This is what's going to happen. So I love that. When I read it, I was like, highlight.
Yeah, because that's what I did not know. I didn't know, and I think that's the beauty. But this is like a whole
Yeah.
different nuance to what you're doing, right? You're like, wow, this is a whole different
Yep.
like light shining on a different area. And at that time, I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, I had no idea. I just know this isn't working and I can't do it anymore. And so I let it be. And it's amazing when you really focus in the right area, which I let it be. And it's amazing when you really focus in the right area, which I really hope this book you're going to get from this as you continue to read, because I
Mm.
talk about it all, like what you're doing, like you're going to figure it out. And when we focus in the right area, I believe the healing comes quickly. It's just that we don't really know where to work.
Right.
It comes quickly. It's just that we don't really know where to work.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Well, and when you talk about focus, that's what my next thing I highlighted was when you said this was the moment I understood for the very first time that hidden unworthiness had been running the show for the majority of my life. And it's like, talking about where to put the focus. Once we know that it's unworthiness and
Hmm.
it's no longer hidden, right? Then the next question is, how do I make myself worthy,
Yes.
right? Or most of them are
Yeah.
not. So how do we make ourselves worthy once we know
Oh,
we've
the
deemed ourselves unworthy, right?
right. Well, first off, we are all the walking wounded.
Yeah.
Every single person on this planet is the walking wounded. We can't not be. And we came across correctly. We didn't create it. It's not our fault.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It is literally the way the brain is wired. We know only our divinity when we come here. And then when the brain starts to go through the brainwave stage, which you've probably read, as we come up through the brainwave states, as we
Yep.
grow,
Yep.
we start to take an information point. The ego is being formed. So then the ego takes all this information in, and it starts to tell us where we're flawed or something's wrong with us, or stay away from that, or beware of this, because its job is to protect us. So then we fracture away from that whole self that we are, that we came here body with, and we fractured away from that. So the healing journey, I'm going to cough, hold on. So the healing journey is returning back to that. That's what it's all about, is returning back to that, is to undoing the programming, because it's all it is. I was talking to a client
Mm-hmm.
the other day on the phone, and we were talking about something, and it was purposeful. This is going to sound, I think you guys will get it. At one point, and it was in context with our conversation, I looked at her and I said, it's all been a fucking lie.
Mm-hmm.
And she looked at me. She sat back in her chair. She put her hand to her eyebrow. She goes, "Oh my God, it has been, hasn't it?" I'm like, we don't, we don't know. It has been, hasn't it? I'm like, we don't, we don't know that this program, it's just, we're autopilot. We're just functioning and acting from this hidden programming. It's like a computer program. It's just running the show. And then when we know,
Yeah.
we're like, okay, so as you continue, and then when we know,
Yeah.
we're like, okay, so as you continue to read through the book, there's a chapter in there that's called The Miracle Cure. And I don't want to give away it, but that, and there's other ones surrounding it. The whole thing is a
Sorry about
build.
that.
That's okay.
Dropped something. Yeah.
It'll say part two. Are you in part two yet?
I'm not sure. Page
Okay.
676. I
You
think it
would,
might
yeah,
part
you'll
one
know
probably.
because it'll be a big page that says part two. But
Yeah.
part one is basically the what and why of people pleasing. And then part two is the whole rest of the book. I think it starts at like chapter 3. It's not very far in. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so you're going to
Yeah.
get to that, brother.
Oh yeah, we'll get there. And here's the thing. There's another quote I want to read that I had to read 14 times. And I'll tell you
So
why.
cute.
It says our level of self-worth is directly proportional to the quality of treatment we require, from others.
Yeah.
Why is the word require there?
The word require is because when I didn't know my worth, I knew things were wrong. Knew this wasn't the correct treatment, but I did not knew this wasn't the correct treatment, but I did not know how to maintain an appropriate boundary. I knew how to set them. Speaking them is one thing. Wait till you get into the boundaries chapter, because I go into
Oh,
length about this.
great.
But you can speak them, it's one thing, but to actually follow it up. But you can speak them, it's one thing, but to actually follow it up with action is where the rubber hits the road. So that's where you say, I require this.
Mm,
Right? Does that make sense? So when I know I'm worthy, then now it is required, even with my children, even if my husband, my friends, whoever, because now I know that I only deserve love, honor, and respect. And anything
that's
else,
yeah.
yeah. Does that make
That's
sense?
interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. I saw it differently, which
Okay, tell me how you saw it.
I thought of it as like the level of self-worth is directly proportional to the quality of treatment we require from others. So almost like when I go to a partner and I say, well, I need you to do this, and I need like this sort of like needy require, like, well, if you almost like a conditional, like if you don't do this because I require it, then I'm not going to self-worth, because if you need it from others,
Mm-hmm.
you're if you're needy, right, you're still filling that void, and shows that. So but anyway, but your way obviously makes much more sense, and it's more empowering to go, hey, I can set my boundaries and I can require people to, or I require them to respect these boundaries, then your self-worth goes up, right?
Well, it's twofold. So back in the day when I was not worthy, I didn't. You could also say, see, other people say, like you could use the word demand there. I demand a certain level of treatment. Like you could use the word demand there. I demand a certain level of treatment.
Mm-hmm.
Demand's just, or you could say I command, or, there's so many words we could play with in this. But what it is when
Yep.
I was back in the day, I had relationships that were physically abusive. I've been strangled. I've been abusive. I've been strangled. I've been punched in the face. I've had, things happen to me. But my worthiness driving the train behind the scenes did not require that person to stop doing that because I stayed. Do you see what I'm
Right.
saying? My
Right.
worthiness now would no, hell no.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
I do. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. It's. I mean, again, it's such a big statement. When I read it, I was like, "Oh, how do you measure self-worth?" Well, we may not be able to measure it like a quantity or like a. For me, the no contact in my current relationship that was that was an act of self-love, because when it's an act of worthiness, I need that
Oh,
space to heal.
yes.
And
Oh my gosh.
so I'm going to
That
require
is
that,
exactly right.
right?
Yep.
And
That
require
is
that,
exactly right.
right?
Yep.
And it
That's
wasn't
exactly right,
until,
Roman.
yeah, it wasn't until a friend of mine pointed that out and said, I know this is hard to do, and I know you feel like an asshole, and I know it doesn't feel good, but that's like one of the best acts of self-love you can do, is
Amen.
to require acts of self-love you can do, is
Amen.
to require that space to heal. Yeah.
Absolutely. That it is. That's what I'm talking about. That's like your rubber hit the road right there, Roman. You're like, I need this. And I'm going to put my need first. Not needy
Mm-hmm.
need, not needy first. Not needy
Mm-hmm.
need, not needy need. And you'll read about that later in the book too. What is really, what is a need? That's
Mm-hmm.
actually self-care, that which is one of the 5 self-love tenets that you will read. But in order for me to take care of me, to take care of Roman, this is what I require right now. Because you are then filling your own worthiness cup. That's it. You're saying, I matter.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's great. So the next one is that a statement I love is, the problem is that we cannot be loved for who we truly are if we're presenting them. And, there's so many dimensions to this, because we're trying to do things in a way that others love us or give us validation or accept us. And by uh, bending ourselves, or what is the word, by
Morphing,
morphing into what we think that they
chameleon,
want.
yeah.
Exactly, chameleoning ourselves into what we think they want from us, so that we can get that validation or love or acceptance. That's the false front. And
Mm-hmm.
the problem is, we cannot be loved for who we truly are if we have that front. We cannot be loved for who we truly are if we have that front up. So in other words, it's complete
Yes.
nonsense to do it, right?
Dude. Okay, there's a lot here. Oh, my brain is going 80 miles an hour. Let me try to pack.
Yeah.
First thing is that I read a long time ago a statement that blew my mind. First thing is that I read a long time ago a statement that blew my mind. It said, if you are not presenting your whole authentic self, you're never going to truly believe that the person loves you. Because way deep inside,
Yes, I
they
remember that. Yep.
fell in love with something else. Okay, friendships, I'm saying in love at all, friends. So when we do show up as that full authentic self and this person decides, hey, I really like them, I want to be with them, we can rest knowing that it's
Mm-hmm.
us. It is the true us that they love. Yeah, my God,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was a chameleon for sure. I didn't use that word, but it was the thing I always bring up is I remember my first husband like wanting to go watch, is it UFC fighting? Is that boxing? I don't know the numbers.
UFC, yeah, or
Yeah.
MMA, mixed martial arts, yeah.
Okay, it was USC. It was like Holyfield and that. He'd be like, let's go to so and so's house and watch boxing. Sure, because I'm easygoing girl. Girl. I'm not put up a fuss girl. I'm easygoing girl was
Yeah.
one of my masks. So I'd say, yeah, sure. I hated boxing. It's brutal to me. All the things that come with it. I'd sit there like an asshole watching boxing. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. And I was cringing. I got into oh
Yeah.
yeah. And I was cringing. I got into I liked Holyfield and I got into the whole thing, but it was not my highest joy to do. Kristen now would say, you go watch boxing. Go have a great time. I'm going to go do this
Yeah. Yeah.
instead, right? So that
Oh my
was
God,
part
yeah,
of
I
my,
can.
yeah, do this
Yeah. Yeah.
instead, right? So that
Oh my
was
God,
part
yeah,
of
I
my,
can. I can
yeah,
relate. And I think it goes even further. Like, I think that when a part of, let's say, your partner's world is really something you're not into, you don't agree with, it's not a value of yours, and it's not into, you don't agree with, it's not a value of yours, and it's a huge part of their lives, that could be an issue.
could
That could
be.
just be a match issue, because, and I've experienced that,
Yeah.
where, you know, but I was just like, oh no, it's fine. I'm just going to put on my, like, oh no, it's fine. I'm just going to put on my like you said, my nice guy, I'm
Yes,
flexible, I'm
yes.
open-minded, I'm down. And meanwhile thinking, no, I hate it. I fucking hate it, you know? But why did I do it? So that I could get validation, I could get affection, I could get sex, I could get love,
Yes.
whatever, right?
Yes.
So I can totally relate to it. Like it's like I'm the chameleoner, you
And
know?
sometimes I will say, because the whole thing, I'm down, I'll check it out, I'm open, right on. We can try anything once, right? We're cool. Because that's
Yes,
what this
yes.
part of this whole journey is about honoring ourselves. And the remarkable part of this is that, yeah, it may not work with this one person, but there's someone who's going to be like, you check every box. But we got to
Yep.
be willing to be honest with ourselves,
Yeah. I
you
mean,
know?
that's the lost in a different rabbit hole here, but I believe that depression, right, even clinically diagnosed depression, is a direct result of um, suppression of feelings, emotions, of lying to ourselves, of hiding things, of lying to ourselves, of hiding things, of not wanting to share, shadow side items and so forth. And so when it's all depressed or suppressed or repressed
Yeah.
inside of ourselves, we feel like shit. That's depression. And
Yeah.
I know we don't want to get lost in this, but um, I know we don't want to get lost in this, but um, I just want to jump to one
Well,
really
let
cool.
me say
But
something to
go
that.
ahead. Yeah, yeah, please.
You're touching on another chapter in my book,
Oh, yes, can't wait.
Roman. Oh my God, you're so
Oh,
incredible.
great.
But I talk about the repression, suppression of, you'll get to that.
Oh, wait, no,
And
I did get to that. Yeah, of course. That's probably why it made me think of that. Yeah, yeah, I did.
because, well, there's a whole chapter. Did you get to the whole chapter?
I got to where it explains that suppression is intentional or conscious or
Yeah.
right. I don't know if that's the chapter, but I do
Yeah.
remember reading that.
Yeah, repression is handled eventually, but it will get us through. But
Yes.
the suppression is consciously avoiding an emotion. But daggone it, emotions are our signposts. They're
Yes.
designed for a reason. They're there to show us what's working and what's not working. So part of this whole journey of recovering from people pleasers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think. See, I don't want to get into too much of detail here, but I do feel that when we scratch that, it's a different rabbit hole. I'd rather jump ahead to the next quote I highlighted if that's okay with you.
Whatever you're in charge,
This
bro. You're
idea,
in charge.
Charles in charge. Interdependence, a healthy balance. This one I was like, yeah, well, F you, Kristen. It's not that easy, But of course, I said it with love because I'm, of course, I said it with love because and I'll explain what I'm struggling with. But it says that interdependence is a healthy balance between tending to the needs of others while tending to the needs of self, right?
Yeah.
And so that's something that I'm struggling with because there's also this idea that I've lived a fairly self-centered life for the most part, and
Oh, you're cutting out, Roman.
I'm coming to terms that I want to be more of service and do things for others. Oh, can you hear me still?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Well, cut
So,
out a little bit.
yeah, what were we
So
gonna say?
what I heard was, yes,
Okay,
please.
I'll repeat. Yeah. So what I'm struggling with is this idea of because I've been fairly self-centered for a large part of my life, and I'm working on that. And part of so when others need something, not to go, well, I don't feel like it, or I don't have time. I'd rather do nothing right now.
Hmm.
To be there of service, right? But then it's conflicting also at the same time with my newfound zest for learning how to set boundaries and how to define myself and my own space, right? And so, right? And so often I'll be like, oh, this person asked me to be of service. Yeah, but wait, I was gonna spend some time with just me, but I do have time to help them, So I'm like back and forth, like it's hard.
Oh my gosh, Roman, that's the quandary for a
Yep,
lot of people. It's
yep,
like that's the quandary for a
yep.
lot of people. It's
Yep.
like I'm finally taking care of me, but yet this is needed over here. So I'm
Yep.
not sure if you've gotten to that part yet, but I evaluate, that might be in the boundary chapter. I evaluate the importance of the thing. I evaluate the importance of the thing. If one of my children calls me with a 911, that's going to trump my nap. You know what
Yes.
I'm saying?
Like a
If,
Trump.
you know,
It's going
but
to be a measurement. Is this trumping a nap or not?
yeah, well, and that's the thing is I have to really, I was so overgiving and so over accommodating that I was just, shriveled up ball of me. So I had to really get super conscious, is what it's going to boil down to, is pausing after the request of the person
Hmm.
and saying, And my go-to, I had to think about it for a second. If it was text, it was easier because I had that moment. If it's in person, usually it's with our close family or loved
Yeah.
ones. I would say, hold on, let me get some bearings here and see what
Yep.
I've got going on. I need to check in with Kristen. So if it was something that I knew that person was going to be okay if they waited an hour or maybe tomorrow, or, it depends what the request was, is how urgent is it,
Yeah.
right? And because I was so over the other direction of just, yes, yes, yes. I was so over the other direction of just, yes, 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 that
Right.
it was hurting me.
Yeah.
And so that's it. It's like, is this going to affect my well being? And I have a list of questions, a massive list of questions that we need to ask ourselves when a request is made from us. I actually break that down that we need to ask ourselves when a request is made from us. I actually break that down for everybody. I don't know where it is in there, but you might find it. But
Well, yeah.
yeah, and it's about slowing the whole gig down to say, okay, where is my yes good for me right now or not good? And let me tell you, having children that I was like 125% over the top, whatever they needed, whenever they needed. And I'm talking about, a lot of different ways, not like midnight. Will you make me a sandwich? I'm not talking about that kind of stuff. I wasn't like
Hmm.
the super enabler, but I had to do things and they fell in line. They were like, okay, they got it. But on
Yeah.
the other side of it, that what was important for me was that if I told them 20 minutes, it was 20 minutes to the second. If I told them tomorrow, it was tomorrow.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
learned
Yeah.
to trust that even though I needed to take care of me, their needs were going to be met too. It just wasn't going to be as, snappy fast as it used to be in the past.
Yeah. That's great. I love it. A couple of things came up. I just want to say in the meantime here, if you're listening to this conversation, I urge you to go to Amazon and get Kristen's book right now. Not because she's my friend, not because go to Amazon and get Kristen's book right now. Not because she's my friend, not because, oh, she just launched a book, we should support her. Yes, and yes, and yes, and yes. But I've I'm telling you, I've gotten so much value from reading this book. So I'm promoting it because it is of value. I'm promoting it because it is of value, not because I'm doing you a favor or I'm just helping a friend. So please go to Amazon. It's like what the Kindle now is what 199. It's a dollar
Yeah.
99. You can't even get a latte today for 190. It's 5.55 is my latte every morning. I'm like 5.55.
It's
That's
ridiculous.
insane. Angel number, right? But
Yep.
so 199 on Kindle. You can download it. Literally, I was reading it like 5 minutes later, and I couldn't get off the couch. And I'm not a couch person, just to be clear. But anyway, so
And
back
Roman
to our
reached out to me and said that. He reached out to me and said that.
okay.
And he says something like, I'm not kidding. And I would not be reaching out to me
No, no.
if this was not true.
I was like, girl,
Thank
this.
you.
Anyway, so just wanted to say that.
Thank
But
you.
back to what we were just talking about. Let me see. I just want to make sure I have that in front of me. Yes. So the people pleasing and the sort of like stopping and waiting before you commit to boundaries. It's similar for me. Like it's now at a point where even just that stopping of like the other day, my boy's mother said, uh, "Can you please come over to my mom's house? We want to hang this thing." And it was just like a thing where it was like, "We want to hang this thing." And it was just like a thing where it was like it's dark, it's late, that can be done in the morning because there's
Yes.
plenty of time. And I was like, I can help you tomorrow morning, not tonight. And, I was a little worried that she was going to be like, oh,
Yep.
jerk, like what? It takes 15 minutes to get here and 15 minutes. I'll be like, oh,
Yep.
jerk, like what? It takes 15 minutes to get here and 15 minutes to put it up. But I was really proud that I honored.
Yes.
I was already at home. I was comfortable. I was about to get on a Zoom meeting and then meditate. Um, and they got it done. I went and helped the next day. We got it. It all worked out, right? But that was one of those help the next day. We got it. It all worked out, right? But that was one of those moments where I realized, oh, I see. That's how I can set a boundary and not be scared that the person's going to be upset. They might be upset. That's always a
Yes.
possible outcome. But that's not my issue because I am truly honoring my time, because I am truly honoring my time, my energy, my commitment, my values, whatever it is, right?
Exactly. And that's what happens is in the beginning, there's a cringe factor, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, cringe. Are they going to get mad at me? That's totally normal. That's totally normal. And as with anything that's uncomfortable at first, you get comfortable with that. It starts to get easier. So when I would do that, I would feel those same things. Occasionally I still do, but the more I practice it, the world didn't implode. Nothing had a grief about that. Let them give you grief. That's on them. If they're
Yeah.
gonna be like, they're gonna talk bad. I've released that aspect of it too. And this is why I do call myself recovering, because my publisher had said, maybe you want to be recovered, like that should be the cover. And I was like, no. I'm like, this
It's
is,
never over.
I still,
Yeah.
things, I still think these thoughts. I still really evaluate. Sometimes I have to so slow down to really process consciously through each thing. It's not
Mm-hmm.
like I'm like just throwing the boundaries out left and right. I have to consciously go because I am the first page, lover, giver. That that being too much of that was hurting me. So I have to slow down. I can still be the lover, nurturer, giver, but it's got to be more on a time frame that benefits me too. And that's where
Yeah, yeah.
interdependence comes in. Yeah.
No, that's great. And it's interesting because the next quote that I wrote down kind of goes back to where we started of others want them to be. And we talked about this a little earlier. But, you know, the question then becomes, in a way, if you're going to become what you think they want you to become, then the question really is like, what are you after from them? What are you trying to get from them?
Exactly.
Often at the expense of his or her own needs or desire. So the expense means we're paying something. So what are we paying? What are we paying to get a payoff? Right?
Exactly. We are stepping away from our sacred self to get this, and then I'm tapping the hand like a crack addict, right? To get this, and then I'm tapping the hand like a crack addict, right? The arm to
Yep.
get the instant gratification. But the instant gratification doesn't stick. It does not fill our worthiness cup. It goes in the top and right out the bottom.
Right.
So
Right.
we're doing no one any good. We're doing no bottom.
Right.
So
Right.
we're doing no one any good. We're doing no one any good by acting like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that's great. I mean, that sort of breaks it down very simply. And I wonder, there's no 12-step programs, right, for people pleasers. I mean, I know there's
I love
because
you.
there should be a program that would be called the PPA, right? The PAPA,
Yeah.
like the the People Pleasers Anonymous, because it's an epidemic.
It is an epidemic.
It's huge. I mean, there's so many people pleasers that go, well, I'm just a nice person, or well, and we need service and we need giving, but it's at the expense of what? And it's actually,
Exactly.
I don't know if we talked about this, but so I was reading Gabor Mate's book before yours, not the other day, but like last few months,
Yeah.
The Myth of Normal, and he talks about pleasers, actually people who give more and don't set their own boundaries at the expense of their own needs and desires, actually are more prone to diseases and sickness than those who have
Wow.
healthy boundaries. Yeah, it's a true. There's a whole chapter on this. He talks about it. It's amazing.
That actually makes perfect sense to me. That actually makes perfect sense to me.
Hmm.
because we are not honoring, celebrating self, which is a MF high vibration.
Yeah, it is.
It is when we're like, I matter. We are vibrating so when we're like, I matter. We are vibrating so beautifully. It's I
Yeah,
matter, you guys. It's not I'm better than you. It's not I deserve
yeah,
more than you. It's just that I
right,
I matter. We're just getting up on the scale, right? I
right.
actually matter is a beautiful feeling. Is a beautiful feeling.
You know what's funny is like, because I have a similar thing. Mine is I'm not good enough, but a lot of people have I don't matter. And I always say like, well, we cannot not matter because we're made of matter. So you matter. There's no
Yes.
you. You already mattered. You're
Yeah,
here.
let's go back into the yeah, let's go back
Right.
into the not good enough, right?
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
it's it's all that enoughness. I'm too much or I'm not enough. And what I've noticed in my past, and this might work for some people, but to me, just doing the simple affirmation of I'm enough, I'm enough, I'm enough, I'm enough, that that kind of get through with
I agree.
that. But my programming is still there. So we can that I'm enough could get me through something short term, but it doesn't stick long term. So this is why it's
Yeah.
important to do the real true internal healing work from the core. So internal healing work from the core so that the foundation is I am enough just
Yeah.
naturally, right? Do you get what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Absolutely. You're being enough. Your way of being is enough instead of I am
Yeah.
enough, I think, you know.
Yes.
It's interesting. Just to go back, I forgot,
Yes.
it's interesting. Just to go back, I forgot to mention that, but one of the reasons why I mentioned Gabor Mate and that people pleasers or overgivers are more prone to sickness and disorders and diseases is, and he points out that it's because a lot of them, most of them, it's because a lot of them, most of them, give so much because they think they need to, and it's more noble to give, right? Like it's almost like they would say Mother Teresa is more noble and a better human being than Elon Musk, right? For example,
Hmm.
just Elon Musk, right? For example,
Hmm.
just because Mother Teresa gave everything, she was a martyr, right? But he points out that most people, not all of them, but most people that become these martyrs, they have strong resentments that they tap down towards the people that don't appreciate what they do, or they don't tap down towards the people that don't appreciate what they do, or they don't get anything back from them. And I've
Exactly.
seen this with people who are so nice, and then when you don't respond the way they want you to
Yes.
respond, they're kind of like standoffish. They're like, "Huh, well, I gave everything, and you're not even, you know." And so that resentment can't now act angry because they know that you think of them as noble and nice, so they can't show their anger, so they suppress it, and that's what causes the sickness and the disorders. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. You and I both know that emotions that are suppressed within the body are going to do some sort of people now, right? This is absolutely known.
Yep.
But I want to say this to that.
Well, you talk about that in your book, right? You wrote about how these emotions, like you can't suppress them forever; they're going to keep coming back. I mean,
Yes.
I think there
And they
was
will hurt
something you
us
said about
physically if
like
we're.
exactly, yeah, yeah.
So here's what I anything rooted in love, which is the highest force in the entire universe, it does not get any greater than that. Love. Okay? Anything rooted in love is always for the highest concern of everybody involved. For the highest concern of everybody involved.
Hmm.
So even if it's love of self, think about it just in small respect that I am super tired, not right now, super tired. I got to dip out on the family and take a 30-minute nap. Tired. I got to dip out on the family and take a 30-minute nap. Okay? That's I'm loving me. I'm taking care of Kristen. You know how much better I'm going to be afterwards? And
Yeah,
you know what? Maybe they got a minute now to go collect themselves. Maybe it inspired them to take a nap. Maybe they're now they feel good because they're like, yes, mommy, go rest. You see what I'm saying? Like I can't explain the exact
Totally.
ripple effect because there's nuance to everything, but there is a ripple effect or even self-love as far as a boundary goes. We're going to get a lot of
Yeah.
pushback from boundaries. What happens is we're loving both parties because when we're loving ourselves, it's going to shine a light on where somebody else is not coming from their higher place. So in the big picture,
Right.
they're going to see a version of themselves that they can actually help heal themselves. They can now heal.
Totally.
It can be confusing to people, you're getting it. But here's another thing, you guys. Anything we give to self, we actually are giving to everybody else because we're all connected, we're all one.
Yeah.
So it'll
And I
shift
think
the energy
if
in a
it's hard,
collective.
yeah.
So it'll
And I
shift
think
the
if
energy in
it's
a
hard,
collective.
yeah, and the simplest example I can think of, at least for the first part that you were sharing about, is the oxygen mask example, right? If you get your nap in,
Yeah.
then you can help someone else from a calm state of mind, and you're not. Then you can help someone else from a calm state of mind, and you're not irritated and stressed and hangry or whatever. Can you still hear me?
Yes, I can.
Sounded a little bit
I just
like.
paused for a second.
Okay, good. Oh, okay, good. Yeah, so I totally agree with, and that's super important. That's super important. That did I just hello?
No, I'm here. I'm just
Oh,
muting because it's getting noisy where I'm at. I'm still listening.
oh, okay, got it. Because I wasn't on the app, so I couldn't see it. Okay, great. I just want to
Okay.
make sure I didn't lose you there. I'm like, no, I swiped to the wrong side.
Where'd you
Anyway,
go?
the wrong side.
Where'd you
Anyway,
go?
um, so I'm just going to go back to the book here for a second. I mean, there's so much to talk about. That's why I said, people listening, go to Amazon and just Kindle it up with Kristen's book, The Recovering People Pleaser. I promise you, you will get so much recovering people pleaser. I promise you, you will get so much value. Because if you're still listening and you're like, wow, there's some truth to what they're talking about, then you might be a people pleaser, or you might know somebody close to you that is. And anyway, so go get the Kindle, 199. It's not even, you can't even get a, there's a sentence that says, what is for sure is that we are all the walking wounded. And you mentioned this before, and I love this because it really puts it in perspective. There's no one out there that doesn't have any childhood wounds. Now, there's some that have done more healing than others, but no one has ever done. The universe says, you soul number 1753, you're baked, you're good, you now transcend, right? But until then, you're never done. And to me, that creates a lot of empathy for people, right? If you see others in that light and go like, I don't know what they're dealing with. They cut me off in traffic, but for all I know, dealing with shit. I just thought your term, the walking wounded, should be, I think that should be a reality show, with some therapists and people, that you pick up off the street and go, what's your wound? Let's talk about it. Anyway, I just thought
Right.
that
Well,
was
we
a
can,
cute,
we can, thank you, Roman. We are all the walking wounded. Coping strategies that served us, and you and I
mhm.
have talked about that about other topics, that served us in the moment to get us through. And that's okay. But oftentimes, what serves us in childhood no longer serves us in adulthood, and it can actually work against our relationship. So let's say somebody had to really pull in their own on something that happened in their past, and they needed to learn that, but now the overguardedness is keeping people out. So that's not
Yeah,
working, right? So now we got to find that little happy center. So these type of things, we're always course correcting in life. We're always course correcting. I will tell you this though, when I went through my College of Kristen, which I talk about in the book when people read it,
I love that, by the way. Yeah, that was brilliant. Yep.
I needed to call it something after the fact because I'm like, okay, this was like a timestamp portion of my life that was so valuable. I wanted to name it something. So I just randomly named it College of Kristen one day. That was so valuable. I wanted to name it something. So I just randomly named it College of Kristen one day. But when I was going through
That's
that, when
great.
I was done with that, Roman, I thought I was done. I had found peace. I got it. I figured it out. This is great. But as time went on, there was more layers. But so I don't, there's more layers. But so I don't, it was like this awakening to me one day when I was like, oh, I'm not done. There's just more layers. So
Mm.
there's a fine tuning that happens. There's a, you get the gist of it so that you, meaning plural, we are functioning better in life. Why I call it recovering people
Yeah.
pleaser and not I'm done people pleaser. I'm done. Is
Yeah.
because, oh,
Yeah.
as the time went on, I was like, could have done that a little differently, or wow, I dropped the ball on that one, or I wasn't calm when I set my boundary with that time. It was just this refinement. So I is returning back to that unconditional love that we came here with, and that takes a minute. And that's why I talk so much about
Yeah.
grace on this path. So much grace. We got to give ourselves grace, because guess what, guys? That's self-love, which is the cure to shame and unworthiness. So when we start giving ourselves grace, and
Yeah.
we so when we start giving ourselves grace, and
Yeah.
we start to flow better with all of this, and realize it's not like any behavior we do is etched in stone and we suck from here on out. It's like, oh, I can correct that next time. What do I
Yeah.
say? One of my prayers is, if I mess up, I'll say, what do I
Yeah.
say? One of my prayers is, if I mess up, I'll say, God, help me slow down and catch this sooner next time. Sooner, before I go down
Mm-hmm.
that thing again. And if we do
I
something
like it.
people pleasing, or hurt our well-being,
I like it.
hurt our well-being, or say yes when we meant to say no. And you read all the things in the beginning. I think it was chapter 1 that I did to myself, right? All those things. If I found
Mm-hmm.
myself doing one of those things again, I just say, it's okay. You just backslid, but you know better, and you're going to do
Yeah.
gentle the whole time. We've had enough of beating ourselves up. We've
Yeah.
done it to ourselves for a fucking lifetime. Now it's time to be gentle, and
Yep.
that's the balm. That's the salve.
I love it. And there's another thing I highlighted was, and this is going back to, in a way, a definition. It says a people pleaser's greatest desire is to win the approval of others. And I think when we actually look at it and go like, the only approval we need is our own, and you never need someone else's approval, because we've all tried it for years and it doesn't work, and also we cannot control others and how they see us and how long they approve of us and why they approve of us, because they have their own shit show running, right? And so in a way,
Exactly.
it's very simple. The only approval we need is our own. So how do we get there? And you just described it,
Mm-hmm.
obviously. Self-love, self-acceptance, not self-love, self-acceptance, not easy to do, but
Mm-hmm.
that's the only work there is to be done. It's like I was actually thinking that the other day after I was reading your book. I was inspired, and I said to myself, you know what? All I need to let my kids know before I die is like, guys, do anything you can, guys. Do anything you can to love yourself, to approve of yourself, to respect yourself. Do just that work and get there as quick as you can, and you will have a fucking amazing life. That's all there is to say.
Yes, it
And then they
really
can
is.
research from there. Like, I don't care. Yep. There's nothing
It
else to do.
it
Research from there. Like, I don't care. Yep. There's nothing
it
else to
it
do. There's
is.
no other work.
Oh my God, it is the work. And you and I have talked about this a lot. And this is the faster we can teach our kids that, the better off they're going to be. But it's going to come through our healing first. So the reason why you were able to say, but it's going to come through our healing first. So the reason why you were able to say that and think that is because that is your own healing speaking. And we do become better parents when we
Yeah.
do our own work. And my kids were the driving
Yes.
force behind this work. They were the reason. I was talking to someone today, and they said the driving force for me was blah blah blah, and I said it was my kids. That was the reason. Like, I was like, I can't be this mess and think I'm going
Yes.
to parent effectively. It's not going to happen. But one more thing I wanted to
Oh
say
my
on
God.
that is that,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Go for it. Go for it.
from the outside world are really the judgments we have about ourselves. When we heal those judgments about ourselves, we become, and I'll say in air quotes, almost untouchable. Because if
Yeah.
someone says, you've been divorced twice, you've or 3 kids by 2 different fathers. You suck. That would roll off of me like water off a duck's back because I don't judge myself about that. If I secretly judged
Mm-hmm.
myself, conscious or unconscious, that would cut me like a knife to my heart. So it's the judgments we have about
Yep.
self that are holding us back, not what's coming. The judgments we have about
Yep.
self that are holding us back, not what's coming at us.
I love it. I love it. And I just want to add to something you said that was, well, everything you say is brilliant, but the thing you said about the kids, right? The parent. Um, I the kids, right? The parent. Um, I I had a discussion with my therapist. It was actually today, and I came to a conclusion, and he agreed. Well, I don't say he agrees, but what he said makes me believe that he would agree. Is that the only time that kids need therapy is when the parents refuse or are not doing their therapy work to
Oh
really
my
heal their
God.
shit.
I
Kids don't need therapy.
I concur. I concur. I concur. I'm sitting with three
It's
kids.
hard for some people.
We
Some people will, some people will say
wrap
this,
their head
well, it's
around that.
bullshit. You don't know what your kids only struggle with the things that are hard in the
Mm,
household that the parents can't control because they're on it, right? They're like fucking resentful, they're angry, they're not doing, and look, there's going to be periods, yes, when you may want a therapist to talk to your kids about a divorce starting and all that stuff. I get it. But actual therapy, ongoing therapy, no belief. That's not the truth.
I do believe that that might piss people off, and I'm going to join you in that sacred rebel,
The piss off camp.
saying the thing, But here's the thing, you guys. When we do our own work, we become wise. Our own work, we become wise. We become wise because that's what that is,
Yeah.
and we start to see. We'll see signs, we'll see things, and we'll also know how to approach our kids. Okay, all 3 of my kids are very different. They all 3 required different parenting and very different. They all 3 required different parenting, and it was through my own healing that I could see that clearly and know what they needed and show up in a way that they could hear me. And our family, I don't know if you know this, Roman, we just got a family tattoo. I don't know if you know this, Roman, we just got a family tattoo. Did I tell you that?
You did tell me you sent me an Instagram video. Yeah, it was awesome.
Okay, yeah. So we got that. And that's because we do that now. It's the tattoo, everybody, is follow you, follow me. It's a Genesis song.
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically what we talk so openly to each other. We're all so naked and vulnerable and honest about feelings. There's no secrets in this house that
Mm,
we're all growing together. And so there's times my kids remind me of
that's
stuff.
awesome.
Sydney will say, Mom, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, thanks, Sid. Good reminder. Right?
I think that's awesome. I mean, that's to me, I say that's the future, that's your present, but like I feel that when we can stop avoiding responsibility for the things that happen in our lives, including, say, a divorce or including something earth-shattering event, and look for
Yes.
pity and look for, blame the other person, when we can actually be fully responsible and say, okay, this is in my life, in front of me, just happened here. I must have something to do with it. What do I have to do with it? And how can I work on that? How can I change myself, right? Because, be the change you want to see out in the world. Once we
Roman,
do
I'm
that,
timing out.
oh, come back, come back.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, of course. Kristen is coming back. That gives me 3 seconds to say, go to Amazon right now, Kindle download The Recovering People Pleaser for $1.99, and you're gonna love it. That's my tip. That's my
And
pitch.
you can get a paper person. I like to smell books and highlight books and do all the things. So
Highlight,
yeah,
yeah.
so you can get the Kindle or you can get the paper version. I appreciate that. And by the way,
That's right. Yeah, you can get the kin.
Sydney just messaged me and she said, I was just on listening to you and Robin talk. It's so sweet that he wanted to get on it. I was just on listening to you and Robin talk. It's so sweet that he wanted to get on and talk about your book. So just letting you know you're getting kudos from my big girl, my
Oh,
eldest.
cool, cool. Yeah, tell her I said hello.
I will. I will.
Yeah, that's awesome. Um, yeah, so let's see. Awesome. Um, yeah, so let's see. I mean, you and I can do a daily marathon, but let's let me go back to real quick. So another thing I want to talk about is this. It's fascinating because again, it's so timely. It talks about being attracted, like attracting the quote unquote wrong people empire, or the sort of people that take energy away from us, or like you say, we permit them to take the energy away. And then here's my quote that I highlight. The quote that I highlight is, "It's more likely we're lowering our vibration to match theirs."
Mm-hmm.
And that's brilliant. That's brilliant because I flags. Again, not blaming the other person. It's just, why did I lower my vibrations to theirs? Because again, going back to the definition of the people pleaser, I wanted to win the approval of the other person.
Yes,
It's that simple.
it is.
Well, that's how I've been treating myself, because that's what I've attracted. So I treat myself like shit in order to win others' approval, because I think that approval is going to fill my void, and it doesn't, but we keep doing it. That's the freaking insanity.
Roman, I just got to say that you are literally what I had hoped people would get from this book. You're Yet the way you're processing this and going within and saying, wow, okay, this, everything you've said so far, everything you've said so far, as an author, as someone who put my heart into this book, you are giving me the cherry on top. You know, you're giving me, like, I don't know, the award, the blue ribbon. I don't even know what to call it, but the very thing that I could hear is what I'm hearing in this conversation. So thank you. That's the one thing.
You're very welcome, and it comes from my heart. And again, it's such great information that for me is at the perfect level of, we'll call it intelligence, that I can process it, right?
No.
Because they're not putting it into processable wording or explanations. And for example, the next quote you wrote, "The person will either grow or they'll go," right?
Mm-hmm.
For me, that's a whole like philosophy, a whole world in itself. If you're not growing, then you're going. I love it.
I got to talk to
It's
that, but I'm just going to read
yeah.
the back of the book. It says, Kristen has a prolific ability to transform complex material into a teaching style that is easy to understand, absorb, and apply. And that's why I put that there, because so many people had said that to me. I'm going to tell you why from this wisdom app. My wisdom family was like, how do you word these things so it's so easy to understand? I will tell people a little backstory of that. When I first started to be a quote public figure, whatever the heck I was doing at calling myself, started a blog and the things. And on my Facebook page, I used to quote other spiritual teachers like Debbie Ford or whoever. I put a quote up, and then I would put a little, it's not a hyphen, but it's a little swirly hyphen. And then I would put a little, it's not a hyphen, but it's a little swirly hyphen. And then I would say what the quote meant. And this is way in the beginning. This is what I would post. This is 10 years ago. And people would say, oh my God, thank you so much for doing that. And I was like, oh. So I think the reason why I got good at that was, because I needed to understand it in my words. You know what I'm saying? So by practicing understanding it, I think helped me to word it in a way that people understood. And at some point I was like, oh gosh, is this not complex enough? Is this not, what, I don't even know what the word to, scholarly, I don't know, whatever word to use. And I was like, nope, this is my voice. I'm going to keep her. But to your point now about.
Oh no, I think.
Go ahead. To your point about people.
I was just going to say, I think you. Oh, we have a delay.
I think we do.
Go ahead.
No.
You go ahead.
Okay, what I was going to say was, no, I'm going to change the subject, so you can comment on that first.
Let's see. I may have lost my train of thought, but
About,
I did lose my train of thought, and I can be honest about that. Go ahead.
yeah, about writing simplistically or easy to understand. We were talking about that.
Oh, yes. Thank you. It was what I wanted to say is like your style of writing and high level concept is very easy to digest, and at the same time, I think it's still very scholarly and very to a degree intellectual and uh, you know what's the word I'm looking for? It's educated. Like it's
Yeah,
very, I'm looking for, it's educated. Like it's
yeah,
very well written. And at the same time, it's not too highbrow and too therapy, where you're just like, wait, what? I got to reread it 15 times. Except that one thing I have to
I
reread
know.
15 times because it's so deep.
Yeah, I know what you mean because I've read books before that the way they're wording things, because I've read books before that the way they're wording things, I'm having a hard time reading the way they speak. You know what I'm saying? So I understand that
Hmm.
completely. And that is the best compliment I could have ever possibly had because I wanted this book to be digestible. I wanted it to be like you read
Hmm.
a sentence and, you might have to read one a couple times to really sink into it, but it's not because it's hard to absorb. That's what I
Yeah,
had hoped.
exactly.
Now,
And so here's the thing. Um, Sorry, you were saying something?
oh, I was going to go to the point about they'll grow or they go, but if you want to,
Exactly where I wanted to go. So go for it. Yeah.
okay. So that's one of my favorite things, and it's a very can be a very scary place for a people pleaser. That when a recovering people pleaser, we're gonna state that when we start really truly loving ourselves and starting to set and maintain apologetically being all that we are. Now, when I say all that we are, I'm not talking about being an a-hole because people are like, well, I'm being authentic. No, being an a-hole is being an a-hole, okay? Authenticity doesn't mean you're an a-hole. It means you're just not, you're willing to speak your truth. You're willing to be honest. It means you're just not, you're willing to speak your truth. You're willing to be honest. You're willing to be forthright with your yeses and nos. You're not going to play small anymore, dim down, play your light, play dumb. I used to play dumb. Any of those things. When you're willing to do that, you're going to be shining at your most brilliant light. When you're willing to do that, you're going to be shining at your most brilliant light. That light is going to
Yeah.
call other people to the task because they're going to be like, first of all, they might be offended by you because now they're going to think a lot of times that light, and this is a metaphor, is going to, I think I used it in the book, it's going to shine, it's going to shine through the windows of an old dusty building and highlighting the cobwebs in the corner. Because your light is, people are going to start to see you differently. They're either going to love your light, initially be drawn to your light, but then over time, they're going
Hmm.
to be like, I'm not like you. I've got all this darkness. So start talking behind your back because now they're going to think you're making them feel bad. But really, what it is they're making them feel bad because they're looking within. I might be getting too deep. However, what's
No,
going
no,
to,
this is good.
yes.
Yeah,
So,
keep going.
so when you shine your light, people are, and you're like, these are my me, respect, love, and honor, protect all the things. This is the treatment I'm required. Your people are either going to have to grow, okay, because there's a reason why they're not treating you like that. That's because they're functioning from some level of wounding or programming or lower self or control or whatever. They're functioning from some level of wounding or programming or lower self or control or whatever it might be. It's something ego related. But they're going to have to
Yeah, yeah,
grow in order to meet you at this new level, right? And it's not like it's going to be some crazy thing. Sometimes it's just stop raising your voice to me. Well, if their habit has been thing, sometimes it's just stop raising your voice to me. Well, if their habit has been to raise their voice when they're upset, it's going to take a minute. But they're willing to do it because they see the harm and they see that you're no longer accepting that. They're going to be willing to grow. Some people are not, and they're going to go. So this is what they're going to grow or they're going to go. So
well,
if they grow, you win. If they go, you win. Either way.
yeah, I love it. I love it. And that was going to be my next thing I highlighted was about the low vibration people find it difficult to be around high vibe people because there's no more. magnetic attraction because they're now resenting you because, oh, well, who do you think you are? You think you're better than us, da, 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 da,
Yes.
da. No, you're just someone who's stepping up, you're leveling up to honor and love yourself and set boundaries, and you're no longer afraid to rock the boat or fear that they're not going to validate you because because their validation isn't going to fill my void anyway.
Exactly. There's a
It's
full
a
circle.
lost cause, right?
There's a full circle moment right there. Yeah.
There is. Yeah.
That's exactly right. So
Well,
it's fascinating to watch people go, because I had that happening when I didn't know what was happening, and it scared the crap out of me because I was still wanting to be liked, needing to be liked, and I still like to be liked, you guys. It's not that goes away. It's just doesn't become my what's the word I'm looking for? It doesn't become my oxygen. I like to be liked. That's
yeah,
great.
well,
Doesn't become my oxygen. I like to be liked. That's great.
it's not,
But it doesn't
it's more like,
sustain me. Yeah.
right. It becomes more like eating a very tasty pastry than needing your shot of heroin. It's
Yes.
like you're just enjoying being liked. You're not dependent. Just enjoying being liked. You're not dependent on it. You're not needy. You're not fucking addicted to validation, right?
Exactly. And with the people had left my life, and we talked about this a lot, with your spiritual growth, people are going to leave your life. And so initially when you start to really step into it's not an asshole. You step into this brilliant part of you, people might go, ew, and then they leave. And initially we might be tempted to dim down and to be like, to want to chase them or to want to go back to the way we were with them, but say, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't go back to the way I was because it doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
You're not going to want to.
Well, that's going to bring me to, I have time for two more quotes.
Okay.
And I know we're going to probably do another talk, a part two, later on. But there's that one quote, and you talked about, I'm not going to scroll back because then I'm going to lose the other one, but it was about, the definition of insanity, right? I think it was Einstein who said that you try the same action expecting a different result.
Yes.
And that brings me to what I was highlighting, where you said it's not your fault you weren't taught emotional intelligence, but it is your responsibility to learn it now.
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly where the rubber meets the road. That's where, that's where you could be a victim or you can be responsible and say, I can do something here because I look at my life and I see the patterns, the same shit happens that I don't want. What else have I not tried? What am I not seeing here, right? And I think that's first step is you get Kristen's book. And you realize, oh, I might be a people pleaser. Tell me more, right? But really, that's like, because I thought, well, I'm a little bit of a people pleaser, but I don't know if I didn't read the whole book. And sure, I mean, I'll do it, because it's your book. But then when I started reading it, I was like, oh shit, I had been asking for signs, right, in life, for things to show me new ways to spot the patterns of my ego so I could start healing that shit. And the more open we are, the more we try something new, lens, like your book is for me, then I can actually be responsible and make changes and affect my reality. And it is happening,
Yes. Two things. One, none of our parents were perfect. If you had perfect parents, awesome for you. I don't know anybody that has. Hopefully that's going to change for the future generations because there is so much more in the world about this work where there wasn't for our poor parents, the boomers. They didn't know what the hell.
Yeah.
Right? There's only one acceptable emotion in our house, or two, maybe happiness and anger. That was it. There was no other, there was no other stuff going on there. And I was raised and I was loved.
Well, it's funny that you said that, right? Because recently a therapist told me that whenever someone tells her that, oh, my life was perfect or my parents are perfect, she always goes, oh, interesting. Tell me more about that.
Yeah.
Because it's a cover up.
Yeah.
because it's a cover up. That's not the goal. The goal of life isn't to have perfect parents or to be perfect parents or to no longer ever traumatize anyone or all that. That's just part of how we grow, and that's our setup. That's our lesson plan here on earth, is that you can't trauma proof anyone.
You can't. And it doesn't always come from parents. And I made that very clear in the book. Because so many times I'll hear influencers say, well,
Right.
the parents, the parents, the parents. It's not fucking parents. Well,
Right.
the parents, the parents, the parents. It's not fucking parents all the time. It's the neighborhood kids making fun of your flat chest. It's somebody.
Right.
I learned about my religion through the neighborhood kids because we were raised Catholic. But both my parents talking about Catholicism, neighborhood kids going, "You're going to hell." Parents talking about Catholicism, neighborhood kids going, "You're going to hell." It was society telling me that I had to have this shape. It was so many things that programmed. It wasn't just the things that I picked up in the family home. It was other things. So, the whole point is we're all victim home. It was other things. So, the whole point is we're all victimized, y'all. We're all victimized. We're all the walking wounded. We all got the boo-boos.
We are.
But now we're
Yeah.
aware of the
Yeah.
boo-boos. Then it's our job as grown adults to tend to those boo-boos. And the best part
Yeah.
I can say about this whole healing, or if I love myself, I'm going to become selfish. And I will tell you this, and I will stand on the mountain and shout it out with a megaphone. I will say this: no, you don't automatically become selfish. What happens is you become a clearer, cleaner version of your authentic self, which is going to be more.
Yeah.
That's what
Absolutely.
happens.
I love it. Yep. Well, Kristen, this has been amazing.
Yes,
I
it
do have
has.
to start wrapping it up, but I
I do
appreciate you
too.
coming on and talking about your new book, The Recovering People Pleaser: A Spiritual Guide to Reclaim Your True Worth and Serve.
Yes.
Now, maybe it's romantic, maybe not, but really it's the love, the self-love, the love you deserve, right? So I just want to say again, if you're listening, go get Kristen's book as a Kindle or paperback on Amazon today. Support our fellow Wisdomer. I promise you, support our fellow Wisdomer. I promise you, this book is fire, or as my 14-year-old would say, it's lit, or it slaps, or
It
whatever they say,
slaps.
right?
Yeah. I'm going to say
That's
one.
the latest that they use.
I'll say one
Yeah,
last
go
thing
for it.
regarding the title, because I love that you said that, and attract the love you deserve. So what does that mean? Because I love that you said that, and attract the love you deserve. So what does that mean? That means when we love ourselves, our energetic vibration raises, and we will automatically attract people to us that reflect that back to us. That's the full thing, but everyone's like, write a short one. So with that being said,
I love it.
circling about, I did an Instagram live. I
Yeah.
know you're not on it, but you can watch it on my YouTube channel if you're interested. I sobbed through it. It'll probably make you cry. But the
Oh,
love
wow.
that I got yesterday, or I'm sorry, Tuesday, from this book, and the messages, everything that came at me that day, what I said was, it's just a reflecting it now. And it was
Yeah.
like a lot of this, I never had this type of support in my life until I started loving me, which is the greatest irony of all, right? It's the self-love that matters, you guys. I promise it is.
Wow.
Roman, you
Yeah,
are
and
such a
I know,
gem.
Kristen, I know that you're being picked up by fly to Washington to be with the president and to present your book, as you should,
Thank you. Thank
because
you.
politics is all about people pleasing. Oops, I said it. Sorry. No, but thank you for thank you for writing your book, and thank you for the inspiration that you are. Your book, and thank you for the inspiration that you are. And I'm just excited to tell the world about it. And I'm going to keep.
Uh-oh, he must have gotten a phone call. You're on mute. He's going to keep reading it, is what he was going to say. And then
Oh,
hopefully,
my son. Yeah, my son.
he was going to say, and then
Oh,
hopefully,
my son. Yeah, my son was trying to call me. I have to go in a minute. But anyway,
yes,
just
I
wanted
do
to
too.
say thank you, and to those listeners that stuck with us through this long and nuanced conversation. Thank you for your attention, and we will have a part two at some point.
Amazing, Roman. I just want to just really give you a shout out for the messages yesterday. You were part of that love bomb that I got, and you know I absolutely love and adore you, and I'm so grateful I met you. And the fact that you are getting from this book what I had hoped. You said all the things that I'd put into the universe. You said them all, and I was like, it hit, and that's what I had hoped for. So thank you so much, brother. And as
Awesome.
always, you are a rock
Thank
star,
you.
self-awareness guy, and I just appreciate you so much. Thank you so much, Roman. And thank you, everybody, for listening.
Same here. Thanks, sister.
Okay.
Yay.
Talk to you guys
Bye,
soon.
everybody. Be
Bye,
well.
everybody.
Create